Hey, welcome back. Here to go over episode 10 of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Interesting episode. I was a little more into it this time. So we are talking to Chris and Nell, or watching Chris and Nell. So Chris, they're all in real estate. That's how the show came about. Love and Marriage Huntsville, even though it's about relationships, but they're in like that business. So Chris sells houses. And so Nell comes, talks to him, and he informs her that he's going to be showing Sonny and Moses a house. Nell asked him, did he, run it by Destiny just to see how she would feel. And he says, no, I have a house to sell. And I totally agree with him. I don't know what the overall opinion of people watching this show, the fans, are going to think. But I feel like when it comes to business, I understand he's cool with Destiny and all that, but I'm sorry, like, I gotta make money. And if this is what I do for a living, why would you stop that? Like, if Sonny and Moses are so hell-bent on moving to Huntsville, they're gonna find a house regardless. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get the whole... And somebody actually, Martell asked him about that too. Again, later on in the next scene, about Destiny. And it's like, what y'all want him to do? Say, nah, I can't show you the house because I'm cool with Destiny. Like, no. So Nell, it must have been really heavy on her heart because she started crying and tearing up. But she said she wanted to have a sit down with their children, and she was basically closing the pocketbook up. Like, don't ask me for money. It's just been weighing on her. They must have been wearing her out because looked like she was just tore down about that. So Chris was like, okay, we'll have that discussion later. And they did later on in the show. People talk a lot about how, like, millennials, my age group, I guess I can throw Gen X in there, maybe the older Gen X, but talk about how we feel entitled, or we're always bumming off our parents. But I just feel like, and I'm not trying to make an excuse with inflation, but I feel like they told everybody to go to college, like I would say maybe last half century, college was really, really pushed on people. And so you have all these graduates with degrees, but there's not jobs for all of them. So people are struggling. Inflation is really bad. And I'm not trying to make an excuse for the kids, but it's like, you can't compare how you were at 25 versus how 25-year-old lives now. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know the details, of course. I'm just going off of the show like everybody else, but it just put me in the mindset of that discussion about grown kids needing help or what have you. So he shows them Martell's house that Martell built, right? It's cool. It's all right. It's not bad at all. Of course, the discussion goes on Destiny. I guess maybe that's their storyline. Like, without Destiny, Sonny and Moses really don't have a storyline. So I guess they have to, in order to stay fresh, they have to keep talking about her, because I think Martell brought it up. Excuse me. Then, of course, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, he brought up Melody. He found some kind of way to bring up Melody. I don't even remember how he brought it up, but it's like Destiny is so on everybody's mind. It's insane. But like I said, they need a storyline as of right now. Maybe as the show, like the season goes, they will have some other stuff going on. But as of now, it's this love triangle ish thing. So Martell goes over to Stormi, talks to her, and they get on the subject of Latricia, and he admits that Latricia came over the house a few times. He made it seem like nothing happened, but I don't know. Men usually don't just invite women over the house just to kick it. And then we kind of know how Martell is. He's kind of like a ladies' man. And then they showed the clip of where, he was like, hey, nice to meet you. And he was kind of treating her like it was his first time meeting her. Like, come on. And I don't think Ken knows this. I think Ken just thinks, okay, he knows her from his brother. They used to talk or date or something. So we shall see on that. It's just kind of weird. Like, did y'all or did y'all not hook up? And so she also talks to Martell about how she got arrested or had to turn herself in for the same thing that I think it's called something about domestic violence, something communication. He got arrested for that same thing with Nell, so I guess he felt like he bonded with her over that, and they brought up the millimeters because it was a millimeter that came to the workshop. Not the workshop, I'm sorry, the warehouse. It's late, y'all. I need to start making videos when I'm not like ready to jump into bed. But anyway, again, the conversation gets on Melody. He gonna find a way to talk about Melody, okay? So he starts talking about the millimeters and how she needs to control them and yada yada yada. We already discussed that last video, so I'm not gonna go, off into the millimeters this go round because we already discussed the last video. It's something, I don't know. This camera is just not doing what I want it to do. So Kimmy, Maurice, Sonny, and Moses have a sit down in this nice little restaurant, just talking, I think getting to know each other. At first when I was watching it, I really didn't feel like there was chemistry with the couple. It just kind of looked like maybe Carlos was like, okay, we need to do a scene with y'all for so Sonny and Moses can get some more airtime and we can get to know them more. That's pretty much what it was giving me. And Moses was talking about how, his past, he was kind of in and out of jail. He had just got out not too long before him and Sonny hooked up, and how they both, come from St. Louis and they want to raise a family. So they're looking for houses in Huntsville. And we learned a little something about Maurice, which I didn't know, because the way Maurice and Marcel carry themselves, you wouldn't think that they grew up in a rough spot. And he was saying, when his father went to jail, it was rough. A lot of his friends he grew up with are dead. Like, I thought he always had, like, kind of like a silver spoon in a way. Maybe not super rich, but the way they turn out is great. Misogynism and all. Like, so that was interesting because I didn't know that. And then Kimmy said that she was from Baltimore. She may have said that prior seasons, but I just forgot. But, that's good that they did talk about their past and where they came from, because a lot of times when you hear cities like Baltimore, cities like Detroit, where Maurice was close to, cities like St. Louis, you have this dark picture of plight and despair and poverty and crime. And to know that, okay, you can grow up in that, but you don't have to become that. You can become a very successful, good-hearted, good-natured person. So I think that was very important that they all discussed where they came from. And as you can see, we can see them now. So I think that's great. Don't think because, someone's growing up in this quote-unquote bad city and think they're not going to be SHIT because of that, is basically what I'm saying. So Kimmy was asking, did they feel like they were kind of rubbing salt in the wound, moving down here? Like, Huntsville is not that big. It's not a one traffic light town or anything like that, but it's not that big. There's literally one, from what I remember, one interstate that runs through Huntsville. It's 565, I think. You might have two, or I'm not good with directions and all that, but all I know is pretty much one highway that leads you in and out. It's not like in Nashville where you have I-24, I-40, I-65. No, there is 565. Okay, so you're gonna run into people in Huntsville. It's big enough for me. It's big enough and small enough. It's like the perfect size because it's not just, oh my God, like here in Nashville, it could be 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you're at Kroger and you're, excuse me, with your car because it's packed even in the middle of the day on a weekday. You get what I'm saying? So they're going to run into each other. It's small enough where you could easily run into some folks. You know what I'm saying? And of course, they just was like, well, we decided to raise our family here. I honestly, I think they're planning on being on the show for a while. I do. Even though Huntsville is a good place, I think it was voted #1 best city to live in. I hope the word doesn't get out too much because Nashville, to me, in my opinion, is ruined because everybody and their mama came here and it's just like gentrified to death. It's, yeah. That's another subject for another show. But yeah, I think they're planning on being on the show. But I want to get to know more about Sonny and Moses outside of Destiny. But I guess with them, because of how they met and how they got together, they're going to probably lean on this storyline a little bit longer. But let's get to know y'all too. And we did tonight a little bit with learning about Moses' past. But I want to learn some about Sonny too, you know, since they're going to be on the show. So Nell has a nice family dinner. The food looked good. And she teared up again, started crying. Was basically telling her kids, like, I can't dish out this money to y'all anymore. Unless it has something to do with my grandkids. And I already touched on that part a little earlier, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But the one daughter, which is Chris's daughter, she was not there. I think she is still at odds. If you saw last season when Chris and Nell first, were introduced on there as cast members instead of just friends of the cast, they got into it. Her and Chris got into it, and so she wasn't there. Like I stated in the last few videos, she's been like talking to bloggers saying Nell was a side chick. So I hope they get it together, especially since Kiki died, and it was so unexpected. So it's like, don't fight over frivolous stuff, especially when it's family, because you just never know how long you're going to be here. So rest in peace, Kiki. All right, shout out to my 65 subscribers. Shout out to the rest of you as well. And you can subscribe, please. Do me that favor. Also, like if you can, share, comment. I'll talk to you back. Peace and blessings as always. Until next time, y'all.